I'm Callie Lewis. You're watching Geek Brief TV. This is Brief 468. This is the final part of my conversation with Leo Laporte. So let's talk about the economy a little bit. I mean, you're the king of media.
I don't know about that.
Of new media, king of new media. I know that you get asked a lot about people entering into the business, how they do it, what advice can you give them. But with the economy changes, how does that affect your answer?
You and I are probably among the handful of people who actually make a living doing this. I mean, you guys quit your jobs and do this full time. I was fired and I do this full time, so. And actually, the radio show still supports me somewhat. I think that Dan and I talk about this all the time. Dan Golden, who's the president of TWiT, is my partner in this, and I really value his input. And we go back and forth about whether the economy is good for this or bad for this. I'm acting as if it's bad for it. So what we're doing is we were going to hire another person. We were going to expand it to downloadable video. As you know, that's a lot of work. Yeah. We need a full-time person to do that, more equipment. We were going to do that. We were poised to do that. We had advertisers. What we didn't know is how big the audience would be and whether the advertisers would be there with the economy being the way it is in 6 months. And I didn't want to hire somebody and say, in 6 months, sorry, thanks, we can't afford you. So what we've decided to do is we've cut back our grandiose vision. We're going to do one download a week. We're going to make it a best of. It will take more work. We'll all have to work a little bit harder. But so Dane and I are being prudent by saying we're going to assume the worst, that advertising is going to dry up. We have money in the bank. We've been carefully saving this year. And not spending as after we did this initial big capital outlay, which is about 50 grand. We said, okay, that's it. We have staffed up a little bit, and that's the biggest cost. That's huge, but we're not staffing up anymore. We're going to hold the line. We have to expand where we can cheaply, but we're going to assume that advertising is going to dry up. And if it will, it'll happen in the next 6 months. It's not going to happen right away. I think by March we'll have a good idea of whether we're going to go forward.
Well, and I have two new advertisers coming on board, so it's not like they're getting scared away. But I have seen a couple of things. I think it was the Ninja say that some advertisers backed out of just a party. I don't know if it was.
See, that's what you don't know, and I don't think the tech sector has really been hit yet.
Yeah,
we're starting to see some layoffs. eBay laid off people. Seismic just laid off some people, but I don't think it's really been hit yet. It won't be for a few months before we'll know whether it's going to get hit. So that's That's the worst case scenario.
Sure.
There is a best case scenario, which I happen to believe is true, which is that, and what you just said confirms it a little bit, and we in fact just signed a new long-term contract with another advertiser. And what I think is that people don't stop advertising, they just get very much more selective. They do what we're doing, they hunker down, and they say, well, where can we spend our money most effectively? And I think that the key is we are very, very effective. We're not cheap, but we're cheaper than mainstream media. Mm-hmm. We're very targeted, and for the right advertiser, we're extremely effective. So it's my hope that advertisers, they're going to say, we can't spend the millions of dollars we were spending on network television, but look, we could spend a couple of $100,000 here and get a lot of bang for our buck. And so that's the best case scenario. Dane and I don't know which is going to happen. We're prepared for the worst. We hope for the best. We will see. I know one thing that's already started happening is that donations have started to drop off as money gets tight. I don't know if money's that tight yet. I think people are worried.
They're just kind of,
they're worried.
Yeah.
So
cautious.
So donations are going to drop off. What we did, Visa ended its schedule, didn't renew. So I don't know if that's how they did it last time. They come and go. So I can't make any prognostications based on that or on this new guy we just signed. But I do think that in the long run, there's no question we're here to stay, and this is a very, very viable business. That this, we really work, and you, I'm sure, do too. For the advertisers, it really, for Brain Tonic, this is a company that sold nothing.
I work for your advertisers too.
This company sold nothing and went to, I don't know, 20 or 30,000 a month in 2 months from being just the occasional mentions that we give them on the show. So we know we work. So all we have to do is get through this downturn. What Jason Calacanis, who I also listen to very closely for his business acumen, said, and I think this really, I took this to heart, was economic downturns, recessions are good for new businesses if you can just hunker down and survive through it. You emerge into this newly vital economy ready to go. He said, your job for the next 6 months or year, however long this recession takes to blow over, your job is to build audience and not, just hang in there. And we don't have any venture capital. There's no pressure on us. We have enough money to last a year, even if everything dries up. So, in fact, we can go even longer than that. I just start to have to fire people.
Bye, Dane. I'm just joking.
Dane's the first to go. No, Dane's the last to go. Dane was the first hired, last fired. But we have an office manager now. I have a full-time editor. I have Dane's full-time, and I have a part-time assistant. So, that's very expensive. We spend $250,000 a year on salaries and staffing. So that really does add up. But I can cut back on that. The building's not that expensive. We've already spent the money on this gear, and I'm not,
So it's done.
It's done. Stickham's free. Thank goodness we get free bandwidth from AOL and CashFly. That's $40,000 or $50,000 a month worth of trade that we couldn't survive without. So unless these guys, that's the worst. Actually, there is a worst case scenario. AOL and CashFly and Stickham come to us and say, sorry, no more free bandwidth.
That would be very bad.
Then we have to go to BitTorrent. I mean, then we really rejigger everything, and we can't do video anymore. There's a lot of changes that would happen there.
Well, so somebody getting started in podcasting or netcasting, do you still go with netcasting?
I still go with netcasting because I really, what do you call this live thing? It's not a podcast.
Right, it's not.
What do you call it?
Live.
It's a netcast. It's a netcast.
So are you saying that live is netcasting?
I think it's all netcasting because I don't want to be pigeonholed. I had the same problem with blog. The idea of a blog kind of says, you're a blog. You're just this blog. Right. It's not. It's a web page with writing. It could be a magazine. I mean, there are Salon and Slate. There are magazines on the web now that are every bit as good as a published magazine. What do you call them? A blog? No.
Yeah.
That's limiting. So podcast is, I think, limiting. But to answer your question, if you're starting out into podcasting or netcasting, it doesn't have to cost very much, and you can start right now. Build an audience right now. This is a great time to do it. Go to Libsyn. You pay $10 a month. Worst case, $30 a month for unlimited bandwidth. And you can start
free bandwidth.
That's for video, right?
Audio or video.
Oh, Mevio is right. Mevio will sign the deal with you. Yeah, do a deal with Mevio. That's fine. Your goal is at this point to build audience so that when the boom comes back and advertising is going to flood this medium at some point.
Yeah.
In fact, I think who's going to suffer in the economic downturn is the mainstream media networks, and who's going to gain, I'm thinking, is us.
I hope so.
Possibly.
This episode is brought to you by the HP Media Smart Server. The server has 4 bright blue LED lights. Some people get annoyed by bright blue LED lights, especially when they put a piece of equipment in their bedroom. HP thought about that and made the lights completely dimmable. I'm Callie Lewis. Thanks for watching. It's bright in here.
Well, our LED lights are also completely dimmable.
Thank goodness.